Yeah, what's up, everyone? Welcome to the show. I'm Tom McCaffrey. I'm here with Eric B. We're the hosts of LE2B. Thank you for listening. Let's get right into it.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff to talk about. So first, I just want we want to talk about the big fight on Friday on Netflix. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson.
It's pretty
It was
sad.
very riveting. Well, I didn't know it was going to happen watching a 60-year-old fight a 27-year-old ass jackass.
Yeah.
I don't really know these Paul guys. I mean, I kind of know them just because I keep hearing about them, but who are they? They're just these two kind of annoying dickheads,
Well, I know
and they're
Jake.
fighters.
No, Jake Paul is like this big YouTube sensation. He's been big for like, he's, I guess, 10 plus years.
But like,
Uh,
why? What does he do?
I don't know. He does just weird videos on YouTube. I know we should know this, but it's like I can't. Yeah, but I know that
Yeah, I
he's
mean,
pretty
I guess
big.
I should know because he's the most famous person in the world. I guess I
Yeah.
should know anything he's done. But and his brother was a wrestler or something, and also does like a podcast.
But yeah, I would imagine so. I didn't know
But
he
like,
had a brother.
what are these things they're doing that are just so amazing that they caught on so much? Because it's just so weird, you know. Like people do videos and they're like 900 million people watch it. It's like, what is he doing that's so different?
I don't know, but I kind of feel like when you get to a certain point, you probably want more content. So this is like, I guess, content he can put out or talk about even before the fight, on his page, on his YouTube channel. Um,
I just have to make an
yeah.
announcement. Me and Eric are fighting Mike Tyson next week on on
on
Twitch.
on Tubi, I think we're fighting on
Yeah,
Tubi.
I was gonna say Tubi. Yeah,
Yeah.
on
Yeah,
AOL Live.
I mean, it's sad. I mean, this guy's kind of like a Trumper. I think Tyson might be too, but anyway, it's almost like seeing this young white guy beating the hell out of this old black guy. I don't know. I just didn't like the way it looked. The optics were bad.
Yeah, it definitely felt like Trump's America.
Yeah.
Just a young asshole white guy beating the shit out of an old black guy.
Yeah. It also reminded me, I was telling some other people that, after Jesse Owens won um, the gold, it was, he couldn't even really get any work after that, 1930s. So
Because
after what?
he did the wait, why? What happened?
Because, America was just a racist country, it still is, but he just didn't get a lot of work after he won the gold medals in 36. And, so then they
Yeah.
would have him do freak things for money and he would like race against racehorses and stuff. And
Yeah.
this is what this reminded me of.
Well, I guess Mike Tyson got paid a lot of like $20 million.
Right.
But what did you first of all? I mean, I had been hearing about it for a while, and I wasn't even really planning to watch it. But of course, I kept hearing about it, and then I was like, all right. And then I guess did you have the thing where it was like not buffering, or it kept buffering and stopping and freezing? So that was a big deal
No, I mean, I,
because
I, I caught the kind of the end of it and, because I thought it was supposed to be on at like 8, but there's like 17 fights before then or something like that or whatever they do. So it's like on
oh
around.
right, everyone's like 8 o'clock, and I turned it on. I'm like, well, there's usually a few fights, and then I just saw two like 5-year-olds fighting. That was the first fight. Then I just saw a squirrel fighting a pigeon. I was like, it's gonna be a while. And then I think it was like midnight the fight happened. And then what did you think? Tyson, I guess he looked good physically, but
Yeah, but you
do you
see
think
the
it
way
was
that,
real?
yeah, I mean, he wasn't really throwing a lot of punches from what I saw. The other guy wasn't really either. It's a little
Yeah, it was
bit.
boring. There was a lot
Yeah.
of not that's a big thing about boxing. I didn't, when I finally started watching, I was like, wow, no one really punches that much, which is kind of weird. And
I
they all
mean,
start hugging immediately.
and boxing's in a bad place now because could you tell me who the heavyweight champion is right now?
Um it's been a while since I've followed Muhammad Ali.
Yeah. But that's the thing. It's like, I guess UFC is really past that. So they're just like, uh, this is the biggest fight, and it's not even like a real
Who is the
fight.
heavyweight champion?
I don't even know. Let me see. There's a few different conferences.
So was this had nothing to do with the boxing league? This was outside on its own. That's the big thing that I feel like the only fights that get attention now are these kind of like gimmick fights.
Yeah. Tyson Fury was for a while. A Fury. I've heard of him, and now
Oh,
it's
right, right.
Ozella Kurski. I mean, who the hell knows? I mean, that sport is just, in the shitter,
But
I
doesn't it,
think.
isn't it, it is amazing like how, to if once you're alive for a while, you see culture, everything shift because
Yeah.
it does show you that everything shifts no matter what at some point. Like I just remember, the 80s where it was like Iron Mike, like,
hmm
he would just beat up everyone in 2 seconds and anyone he got in the ring with just immediately crushed. And then
I mean,
now,
in 1988, Mike Tyson against this guy, his head it'd be like Rock'em Sock'em Robots. His head would fucking come right off.
and he would beat them in like 20 seconds.
Yeah.
And now here we are, and it's kind of like he just looks very, vulnerable and beat. It's weird. Like I wouldn't assume that Mike Tyson would win a fight at this point. I know it's because he's
Mm.
old, but it is amazing to watching that how athletes they just can't stay away from it. And a lot of them make
Mm.
that mistake of coming back, and it
You're
just
right.
all it's really interesting to watch because it's kind of the great equalizer age, because
hmm
you watch these guys and you're like, oh my god, they're like a god, they're like gods, and then you're like, well, they're gonna get old too, like me. So
Yeah. I mean, the weird thing is I mean, remember George Foreman? He won that champ. He was fighting when he was older. He fought in his like late 40s. I think he won the championship at one point, but that was kind of an
he did.
aberration. And but by the way, there's probably a big difference between late 40s and late
Like,
50s, you know.
yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely think that's true. I do remember that was a big deal, and people thought that was rigged, the George Foreman one, because
Mhm.
he like barely punched a guy and he fell down. But yeah, it was. And then the other thing is another thing like Diddy is just ruined. Like culturally, a lot of things have just shifted so much. There was another one I was thinking of. Well, obviously like Cosby and all that shit.
I think the thing I've
But
been laughing about this week, though, is apparently a lot of these football players are doing the Trump dance after they score a touchdown. You know that thing with the hands or whatever he does.
yeah,
It's like
where he can't dance.
right. But people are saying no, they're not sure if the players are making fun or they actually like him. And I think some of the players might, even if they're black players, which is crazy. And there was some article today about saying how like Fox is saying, "Isn't this great? All these players are dancing like um, Trump." But years ago, when it was Colin Kaepernick kneeing or these other
Like,
things, they were like, "Shut up and play," you know. But
yeah,
but
like what
this
a
is okay.
disgrace.
Yeah, but this is fine. And then
Dancing
this,
in the that's another thing, another cultural shift. It's like Mike Tyson was this god who was unbeatable. Donald Trump was this total joke,
Mhm,
idiot, and now Mike
mhm.
Tyson is kind of this washed up. I mean, whatever. He's just old and can't really. I don't know, like fighting for his money, and just
Yeah,
it looks kind of desperate. And
and yeah,
Donald
and
Trump is ruling the world. It's just kind of
mhm.
like, so who's the person? Like who would like right now? Who would be someone that it would be in like 30 years? It would be insane that they'd be ruling the world. It would be like if Zach Efron not like was like the king
No,
of
I
the
would say
world.
Army Hammer. I think it would be Army Hammer because he's trying to actually repair his image. He's like, I'm a cannibal, but I got some good sides to me.
I he probably will be able. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't think anything's off the table at this point.
Especially his men, the people he eats, they're definitely on the table.
The Menendez brothers are like sympathetic again. They're coming. Everyone loves the Menendez brothers now. I
Right.
mean, how did that happen become a thing?
I was watching this Milli Vanilli documentary. I don't know if it's a new one or whatever, but it's like now everyone sympathizes with them. Because they're going, well, on TikTok, everyone they lip sync anyway. So what's wrong with Milli Vanilli? I'm like, that's different because this person is lip syncing when they're on TikTok. You lip sync to Taylor
Yeah,
Swift. You don't go, hey, that 40-year-old guy from
give him a
Nebraska is Taylor
Grammy,
Swift. Yeah, yeah.
best new artist. But I will
Look,
say I watched that Milli Vanilli documentary and I did feel bad for them because, like, in the
mm,
grand scheme of things, especially nowadays, it's just those were the days back then when like the biggest, most crazy story was that these two guys lip synced a song. Like that was
right.
a huge scandal in the world. Like, oh my god, can you believe like the fact that that was like that would get enough scrutiny and attention? Like
Mm,
it was a huge deal to people. Where now it's just like who cares? It's kind of like, yeah, all right, I'm sure they are lip syncing. Who gives a shit? But like, I don't, I like, I mean, whatever. But I don't think they should have been like these huge pariahs in pop
Well, a couple
culture.
couple things on that. One, the Grammy thing, they shouldn't have submitted for a Grammy. That was the beginning of the end. Then they were getting cocky and saying they were better than the Beatles and things like that. But I also think
Yeah,
the other thing is that scandals were bigger back then because we all shared the same news. It's not this algorithm thing. So we're talking about people like Matt Gaetz and stuff like that. And it's horrible, but you probably talk to some Republican. They don't even know what is going on. They don't know anything about this guy.
if Matt Gates, they probably, because I will watch a little bit of Fox News, and
Mhm.
they just will, they support anything, and they're just, Matt Gates is a great idea. They
You're
just
right.
will kind
They
of.
just go, they're
I
going
understand.
after, they say they're going after him because he's going to be a disruptor. And it's like, no, he's fucks little kids.
He's a child sex trafficker. It's just so
Yeah.
amazing too how like
And they
wasn't
call
there a
everyone
whole
else a
thing.
child sex trafficker, but they always the ones who
That's what
always
I was
do it.
going to say. They're
Yeah.
always accusing Dems of like child sex trafficking and child pedophilia rings. And like this guy literally, there's like people who are like, yes, he had sex with me when I was a child. And there's
Yeah.
witness and then apparently doing it in like in front of people, like
Yeah.
just and what is he doing? So like that guy is such a fuck. He literally just his face just looks like if like rape was like a face.
It's very punchable. Then the other thing I was talking about with the about what was I saying? The thing about like when Democrats do it, it's bad, and when Republicans, it's fine. Like the dancing that I was talking about. The other story that's out or they're talking about is that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is talking about, I want to make everything healthy. We're going to make our foods healthy for our kids. And all these Republicans are on board with it. And 10 years ago, they're all ripping into Michelle Obama about it. Remember? They're like, nanny state,
Yeah,
she taking away our fries.
keep your hands off my hamburgers. Like, what
Yeah.
the hell? Like, what business is it of yours to like, get me healthy? Fuck you. And now they're all like, isn't it great that he's gonna like get everyone healthy again and get rid of fast food? And I also heard that he just made RFK Jr. the head of the Department of Speaking well. It's literally his picks seem to be like, what is this guy awful? Like the
Those stuff.
complete opposite of, like, yeah, put him the head of that. Like Matt Gates, it's just kind of like, really, I understand. So everything now is just like trolling became a big thing with the internet and social media. So now it's just leaked into the government completely, where literally the government is just like a practical joke on
Mm.
half of the country because that's how mad they are. Like they're just kind of like
Like,
if you went into government and you wanted to piss off everyone, who would be your cabinet picks?
right. Well, you're
Because
actually
like
to piss off
it would,
everybody in the
if you were
Republican
just
Party.
trying to tick off, yeah, like what would it be like?
It's a false equivocation because, like, let's say if I said AOC,
Would it just
right?
be like people? You would just put people who knew what they were doing,
Right. But let's just say it was something that would want to trigger the Republic. I'll say like AOC, but AOC is a competent person. You know what I mean? It
right?
would
But that's
trigger,
to them. That's being trolled to them. Like, how dare you like
right.
do that?
But you see here, that's the difference because all these Republicans are like, oh, Democrats are getting all triggered by these picks. I'm like, I am not getting triggered by this. I think it's hilarious. You want to run a successful administration, have the most incompetent people on top. The only thing I'm scared about is just America as a whole. But you're just making your route to failure much easier, much quicker.
But the thing is, isn't that sort of? I feel like that's kind of the point. And the thing is, he ran. The thing that's so amazing is if the people that are surprised by it,
Yeah.
where they're just like who have not been paying attention. Like, I can't believe this. Like, were you listening to anything he's ever said, or was? I mean, he was running on this, and
Mhm.
but I guess the goal is to just literally just make the government so it can't function, so that it's basically him and Elon Musk
Yeah.
controlling everything. I think that's basically what it is. I think it is trolling, but I also think it's like I want people who aren't incompetent, so I literally have to do everything. So
Right.
everyone who voted for him was comfortable with like this 80-year-old guy who's clearly losing his mental capacity and is a lunatic. They were cool with him because he literally always said, I'm going to fix everything. And it's like, but logically and rationally were you like, oh yeah, this 80-year-old lunatic, I mean, even if he wasn't a lunatic, this 80-year-old guy should run everything.
Right. But the thing is that, how they were saying he was being sane washed through the campaign, Trump. And now he's president, it's going to be a little harder to sane wash him. At this point, all I just want is to keep his hands off my health insurance, and I want to say I'm still scared about it, but the House of Representatives is going to have like a very the Republicans are going to be heading this House by just a few votes. So,
Yeah,
and
I think it's only going to be like, apparently there's a house race that's coming in from California
mhm,
that's coming in, and I think the Republican was expected to win, but I think he's going to lose. And
right.
why does it take so long? I mean, I literally feel like they're counting votes from California from like 2000, from like 2000.
You got 30 days in California. Like I think after they have a 30-day window, I think after the election or something like that for them to count
And then so
ballots.
with that, and then also like because some of his appointments are some House people, so they're going to
Correct.
leave. So I guess there's going to be a very small, a slim majority, even more slim than the last time.
Right. And then so you got like 20 Republicans who are in Biden districts that might not want to go along with everything that Trump wants to do, especially with healthcare. Because in 2018, they tried that shit and they got clobbered. So I'm just hoping that there's some sane representatives that will, stand up to these motherfuckers. But we'll see.
Well, the other thing too is like I know I go over it all, but like, do you remember when like they're going to have a slimmer majority than they had the last House when they won
Mhm.
the House the last time 2 years ago? And don't you remember? I guess they only talk about it on certain news networks, but like they were just like it was a mess. It was just total chaos, and that they couldn't get a. Remember, they spent like weeks trying to get someone
Right.
Speaker of the House.
That's
Like
not go- that's not
Kevin
going to happen
McCarthy,
this
didn't it
time.
take like days and days?
That's not going to happen this time because they're just these were chaos agents who wanted to fuck with Biden and stuff, and they wanted a House leader that was going to fuck with Biden. So they're not going to try to fuck with Trump. So they'll move things along, but certain things. I mean, the first thing he's going to do is he's going to try to pass or extend tax cuts for the rich. And then they're going to try to offset it with cuts to the poor, all the people who voted for Trump, and
Right,
they're
right.
going to put that in one
And then he's going to
package.
sell them sneakers.
So, all these people who are going to lose their health insurance are worried about the price of eggs. Well, you don't have to worry because you're not going to be able to afford your health insurance anymore. So, I don't know what eggs you're going to be buying then.
Yeah, and I also feel like first of all, I've checked the last few days. Eggs, I know he's not in yet, but it feels like he's already president, and he didn't. He was already saying that he was going to fix a lot of things before he was even sworn in. Like he
Right.
said, he was going to end the war in Ukraine the day he was elected. That I saw the news today, and it was that's still happening. I think. In fact, I think it's escalating a little bit. I guess he didn't figure that out. And eggs have been I went yesterday to Trader Joe's and there were a dozen eggs for $2.99. So I live in Manhattan.
Yeah.
So I think in Oklahoma or Iowa, you could probably find some eggs somewhere for like about two to $3. So
Yeah. Well, they said the
I don't
average
know
cost
where
around
they expect this. What?
they said the average cost is over 3, but that's around the country. So, but the problem is the bird flu. That's what's going on. The bird flu is a big issue that people don't even talk about. They're worried about that it might be started to tr transmitted into humans. And when
You
that
know what the
happened,
problem is? I figured out is that the cheap ones are brown eggs, and
uh,
they don't want to buy those.
well, but here's the
These Trump
thing.
supporters, they're
Yeah.
definitely. I'm not buying brown eggs for $3. I need my white
Yeah, I
eggs.
don't want any DEI eggs.
Yeah. How did
But
those eggs get there? Get in there?
but I can tell you this though, that let's just
They're taking
say,
eggs from white. They're taking jobs from white eggs. I'm sorry, I've interrupted
and I
you. Go ahead. Yeah.
keep that's good. It's funny. um, the but let's just say bird flu transmits into humans, and there's a pandemic. I mean, I don't think there's gonna be a lot of people taking any vaccines at this point. They're only even giving them out.
No vaccines.
Imagine if there was
Are
another
they really going to
pandemic
be
when he's
flocking? I
president.
guess eggs prices are really going to drop with the bird flu happens.
Yeah. But it already happens. That's what there's not enough chickens apparently. But if it transmits into humans, but imagine if there was another pandemic when Trump was president. But this time it would be way worse because
What do
no one
you
would.
think? There's going to be something huge and awful. There's
Mm,
just because, and I do think it's just sort of almost like it's inevitable. First of all, it's not like the craziest. It kind of like if you logically look at things, if you hire someone to build your house
mm,
who doesn't know how to build a house and you hired him before
yeah.
and he didn't build it well and it fell apart and then he just lobbied to do it again and he hadn't gotten any better and didn't learn at building and he hired worse people to help him build the house, like of course that's going to be a disaster again. So I think people are kind of like, when a disaster hits, which is inevitable because there's a person who is completely incompetent and doesn't even care about doing a good job. So like,
Mhm.
and now he's hiring complete psychopaths to work for him. So why would that not be a total disaster? It's going to be so many people being like, you already hear it. People, have you watched some of the stuff where people are like, yeah, they're going to deport you now. And they're like, well, we talked about this last time. Like, no, 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 not me, not me. Why not you? Do you know him? I don't understand. Why not you?
Well, I heard that the defense secretary pick that might go up in flames too, because the military's got a lot of pull, and this guy's a psycho, and he has no Pete, whatever his name is.
Hegseth?
Yeah, he has no experience, and military people don't really like to listen to military people who fucking don't know how to run a military. So it looks like I
Yeah.
think his is going to go up in smoke, and I think Matt Gaetz is not going to get through. There's no way, and Tulsi Gabbard shouldn't either because she's just a Russian asset.
She's the best. She's the worst one, though. See, that's
Yeah.
the thing. I think
She'll just
everyone's
give
like,
all our. Well, you remember that story where they were saying that during the last Trump administration, all these CIA agents were getting murdered and stuff like that, or they were getting, what's it called when they find out who they are? Um, it
um,
happens unveiled or whatever it is.
exposed or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. I don't know the word.
but a lot of them were getting murdered, and then they started pulling a lot of them out in certain areas because Trump was probably just handing them information about them.
Yeah.
You
And
know.
so this one, when did Tulsi Gabbard become radicalized? It's funny how like you watch it happen because she was like 4 years ago, wasn't she trying to get the Democratic nomination for president?
Yeah, I mean, I just found some tweets that up to 2018, she was shitting on Trump all the time, and then all of
Wasn't
a
she
sudden,
saying he was Saudi Arabia's bitch?
yeah, yeah, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, someone got to her. I think just someone
Well,
got
so
to her.
what is her weird history? So she's like a Putin apologist, and she
Yeah,
she like is an Assad sympathizer for Saudi from and Assad is where is it Syria?
Syria, yeah.
So
Well, when she's saying all these Russian talking points about, oh, Assad didn't do anything there, and she said something about Ukraine building something inside their biolab. She was all these things that are these Russian talking
this
points.
war is Ukraine's fault.
Yeah. When you start hearing that, um, it's interesting. You figure, yeah, that's probably like she's been compromised,
But like
which is fine. But she's
I feel like
the director of intelligence. I mean, that's not a good thing.
I mean it
That
couldn't
might be
be
the
any
worst pick of
more.
all.
It is the worst one, but the
Yeah.
thing is, I feel like it's actually being, it's being distracted from by Matt Gates. It's almost like partly
Mm.
just to distract. They put Matt Gates, so it's all like, oh my god. And you know what's crazy is the more I hear about the Hegseth guy, he's like even worse than Matt Gates. Like there's some story where like he like drugged and he like roofied a
Yeah.
woman and like raped her and then paid her off to not say that he raped her. I mean, that's bad.
Right. You don't
I
usually
love how
pay
none
people.
of this is like unqualified, like disqualified, and everything's just out the window now. But like the fact that, and then like the whole thing with the Gates report, like what they're like, no, we're not going to release the report, like because he
Right.
resigned. And it's like, so we're not going to hear about the rape things,
Right.
even though we've all heard about them already, but we're not getting for the guy who's going to be the head of the attorney general.
Mm.
So how do you even like deal with this? You know what I mean? Like, how can you? again, they do that thing, they flood the zone. There's so many things you don't
Mm.
even know where to start. You know what I mean? It's like when someone's it's like a whack-a-mole. It's like whack-a-mole, but if like all the moles were coming up at the exact same time, not like one at a time.
Yeah, and not only that, it's with this disinformation because I was reading about the healthcare stuff again, and they're like, well, it was embarrassing for them last time when they tried to take away Obamacare, but back then people still got their news from some credible sources. Now they're like, no one sees any of this. They could just
They
take
don't
your
because I watch Fox and they don't cover all they do is defend everything and they don't
right
tell you what's happening.
or
And
your
so
algorithm, all your algorithm. You'll never see any of this stuff. One day you just won't lose your health care, and you're like, and they'll just find a way to blame it on the Democrats.
yeah, it is really scary how bad it's gotten in the last like at the seven. It's not even just normalizing. It's like we're just in and now we're at a point where because it has become so normal, there's people who are, voting age now, and a generation coming up who like this is all they've known. So
Right.
that's how it happens generationally because that kind of politics that you grew up on becomes the norm to you and you're like, oh well, this is what politics is. So it's kind of like,
That's why these
over and over.
young people who voted, these bros too. I mean, obviously Rogan influences, but none of them found his behavior disturbing at all. They thought it was funny because it's
Yeah.
normal. It's normalized.
The dancing thing, is that what's really like, I understand, if you're policies and stuff, but I do feel like there's people that like they're voting on like his dance moves.
Right.
But that's where we are right now. But
Right.
I don't know. Again, like this whole thing with these picks and watching what's going to happen, it's just kind of like, in the whole eggs, defense, or I don't even know what it is. The whole eggs reasoning, the cheap eggs, like it's just really it's worth it for you for like the government to never function again and to literally not do anything for anyone or have it like the house has been such a mess ever since they took it over the last two
Right.
years. And it's like, why do you want them to keep running that? Like
Mm.
it's not going well. It's the
But me,
least.
but meanwhile, the Democrats are always bailing the Republicans out. Uh, One example is like the stimulus checks during the pandemic. You know, Democrats really pushed for that. That saved Trump's ass. The other thing I was reading about is that Trump had some tariffs in his first term, and he was really fucking over the farmers. So they sent all this money to the farmers, and the Democrats voted for it. You know, but and had they not, of course, they would have gotten a lot of shit for it. And because even if they do it, no one knows that they did it, so they'll just still vote against the Democrats either way. So the Democrats are fucked. It's like, you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I think we're in a situation.
We
I,
have to
I
bail
am
them
sick of
out.
that
Like next
too.
time he puts tariffs on, the Democrats shouldn't bail him out. They should go, no, fuck
Well,
it.
I
This,
know that's the
uh,
thing too. I hate this thing where it's like they're the only ones, kind of the only bulwark, between complete chaos and everything falling apart. And it's like, the fact that it's just the Democrats who insist on like trying to have a functioning government that might help people
or how about this? How
against
about yeah? Or how
everyone's
about like
will is just like that can't continue.
right? Like how the Teamsters who didn't give an endorsement to this to Kamala. Meanwhile, Biden passed this thing to save their pensions. It was in that
Right.
Inflation Reduction Act. He saved their fucking pensions, and probably
Right.
60 or 70% voted for Trump.
And they're like, yeah, eggs.
Yeah. No, but they
But
but they should know that those people would at least know. Oh, your pensions are gonna go away. No, Biden saved your pensions. Well, Biden's not running. I'm like, but you know it's the same thing, and you're
right.
rewarding Trump.
They always would like pin her to Biden for the bad things, and then
Right.
then they'd separate the two. Like, well, she's just like Biden, the border. There's rapists coming over the border. There's millions of rapists. Like they have this idea. Fox News just puts this thing in everyone's head where like if you go to the border, there's just like a line of rapists being let in, and they're all just literally running in to rape white women. And then they just, I mean, I know that it's, whatever it is, an issue, obviously it's an issue and a problem. And there was a bill that could have helped it, but, they put the kibosh on that, or Trump put the
Uh,
kibosh on that. But
but
they just,
let's
all they do is they bring up that one girl that something happened to. I guess she got
yeah
murdered. They're
yeah
always like Riley Lakin, and I'm like, okay, anyone else since her? Like, I'm not
yeah.
trying to be a jerk, but like just her. And
How
they
many?
keep bringing her up now, and I'm like, he's not even the president. He's not going to be the president anymore. Okay,
Yeah.
so what? So no one's going to get raped and killed anymore. Is that what you're telling me? Now
But
that Trump's in office,
but
no Mexican's going to rape anyone now.
but let me just go back to the Teamsters a minute because it's just like they just saw they saved their pensions. They saw this, and he gets
Yeah,
like they got none of the votes. I'm like, what else do they got to do? I don't
I
understand.
think I
I mean, I
think
know
that
why they didn't vote for her. We know why.
well, yeah, and that's the thing too is I'm sick of watching a lot of these things now where the pundits. It's like I guess on TV you just can't really say the things outright, but like a lot of these pundits who are like the Democrats, they really they've lost the working class and they really need to take a look in the mirror and it's like no, dude, that's not the problem. It's not that like they didn't get the messaging through. They had the right messaging. It wasn't like, oh well, they're just not getting through to these working class. It's like no, there's certain places and there's certain people that just they hate women. They hate women and they hate brown people. That's all it is. Like I'm just going to break it down. That's what and they're uninformed. A lot of them are just in a cult, and it's the cult is slowly expanding, and no
or the
one wants to. I think
yeah,
they don't even
or
want to admit it
right.
themselves to themselves. But
Or the progressives who sat out because of the Gaza thing because they think Trump's going to be better.
them too, that whole coalition of people are like, well, no, you don't just get our vote. We're going to vote for him. And it's just like, so now he just wants to level you. So I don't understand. But what
And
is
deport you.
literally what did they forget about the Muslim ban? I feel like that got a lot of attention. Why is that just completely forgotten?
Um,
And they're like, well, Biden hasn't done anything. Like, well, but what about the Muslim ban? That wasn't.
See, you
I
have to
don't
look. You have to
understand
look at you're like,
this
why don't
thinking.
you
I
look at
just don't
this? If
get
you're
it.
Muslim, everyone has issues with you, I guess, in both parties. So why don't you pick the one that has less issues with you? Yeah, this thing is going on in Gaza, but that's not America. So this guy is willing to hurt you personally, and they don't care. Well, they'll find out soon enough.
I feel like we need to just treat the progressives or the Dems, whatever, like just need to treat the country kind of like that drug addict son,
Mm.
where you're just like, you know what, dude, I'm not bailing you out anymore. Like just go do crack and heroin and like I can't stop it. And I mean, there really is a point with that analogy I'm making where, when you are dealing with someone or someone in your family who's like a drug addict and you keep helping them, you kind of just have to at one point just accept it and like cut them off. You can't do anything about it. So like I feel like that's where it is right now with the country with this election. And that's the one thing I will say is it feels very much like that's kind of the mentality I have. It's like half the country is just gone and there's no getting through to them. And for so long, you were just so like frustrated and kind of like, look at this, like
Yeah.
wake up, see what's happening. And now I'm just like, they're not going to wake up. They want to destroy themselves. I'm probably going to be okay. I don't know what the fuck I don't know why they want this so badly or they're addicted to this chaos and
Mm.
abuse. So
It's
have
it's
at
the
it.
it's that leopards eating face party. That's what that is. That
What's
tweet we go.
that?
It's that famous tweet
Oh,
that
right. What is it? Tell me again.
the person's like, I didn't know the leopard would eat my face. And they're like, for the person who voted for the leopards eating face party.
Or what's the one where there's like a guy? It's like a wolf or something in front of a bunch of sheep, and he's like, when I get in office, I won't eat meat anymore. Um, something like a wolf is basically promising he's not going to eat sheep once he gets into
Oh, when he
into
gets elected,
office.
yeah. I saw another
Something
cart.
like that.
I saw another cartoon where it was like they had Trump as Lucy from Peanuts, and America was Charlie Brown with the football. Where he pulled the
Yeah. No,
you.
I know that. So what's it going to be when the whole fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. What is it going to be with the third one? Fool me three times, like kill yourself, kill myself.
Yeah,
But
and I was reading this tweet from Rand Paul, and he always tries to be like a maverick, and he's like, I don't care what you think, you know, Trump should not put the military in cities and whatever. I don't think that's a bad idea, but he still will vote for it and support it, though, right?
who is this? Rand Paul?
Yeah,
Ron?
Rand Paul. But I'm saying it's like don't do, but he'll still support it. And then I saw all the comments because now Twitter is like a cesspool. And everyone's like, the cities are on fire. They need the military. The cities are like, I'm just like, none of you live in a city, okay?
None of you live. That's the other thing I love hearing about New York. Remember, Trump would always be like, "New York City is a wasteland, and everyone's getting murdered every day. Every day, everyone's murdered." And I'm like, "Wow, really?" I mean, we
Remember
live
that?
here, and like, have you noticed it being much more dangerous?
No, it's getting better. It was a little tweaked. The crime definitely picked up after the pandemic, and it's still not
When the
great.
streets were empty, and like
Right. Yeah.
literally, if you were outside, it was you and a gang, basically.
But yeah, it's that funny where that the Triumph, we played that thing where he was interviewing those people and they go, "Oh, you're from Maryland and you came to New York." He's like, how many times were you murdered since you've been here?"
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that thing. That's all they say is like, all the cities is they're murdering everyone every day. The border, there's just Mexicans running in with, knives and the address of where white women live. And I just feel like the people that are most concerned, yeah, I think we've talked about that are most concerned about the border and all these people, it's just they don't live anywhere near the border and they
No.
live in rich neighborhoods where they're like, no one's going there to murder them.
Yeah.
And
But that's why you can just convince them anything. That's why those people are the most racist because they're not even around any black people. So they
yeah.
just whatever you tell them, they'll believe if you're not around there. Um,
Yeah, so it's all right, so quickly, what do you think is going to happen with with these cabinet picks? Is there going to be the what is it called, the vetting process with the Senate? Are they going to
well, didn't he was talking about how he wants to just sneak them in through recess appointments, which I thought we weren't allowed to do because Obama couldn't do it with, and Scalia.
I don't know if you are allowed to,
They'll just do it
but
though. That's what
I
Obama
have
should
a
have done.
feeling.
Obama should have. I saw John Stewart talking about it. Obama should have just done it. I thought that at the time too. It says in the Constitution, advice and consent of the Senate. But what if they're not willing to advise? I'd just be like, he's on the court. I would have done that. Let the Supreme Court figure this out.
Yeah, well,
You
that's the
know,
thing too, is like he probably will. That's probably going to be his last resort. But I
I
do
mean, I
feel
think that's
like
what's giving
it won't
them
even be
make them.
necessary. Who are the senators they're gonna
But the
vote against that aren't going to approve him?
but this is what
Approve
makes
them?
that's what makes them so brave that they have the courts now, so they can do unconstitutional things, and they know there's a Supreme Court behind them. No, I think Gates. I think he's universally hated, and I think the Senate, in certain ways, wants to preserve their independence. So they don't like
Yeah.
this recess appointment thing either, because if you start doing that, then
Well, wouldn't it be
you're like you
taking
don't need the
away
Senate anymore.
their entire point for existing, their entire function?
Right.
But that's what I mean. It's like that's the goal, is to have literally the government has no function beyond the executive branch. It's
Right.
just him and that's it.
The difference with the Senate also is their senators are a little more moderate than people in the House of Representatives because they're governing the whole state. So if you're Marjorie Taylor Greene, you have to act like a maniac because that's your constituency.
Yeah.
These Republican senators usually act pretty badly, but they might have a little cover if they push back a little bit and they run every 6 years, so people forget about this stuff.
Yeah.
I think the senators that would be vulnerable would be the ones that are up for election in 2 years.
Yeah,
We're,
and
we're-
that's the thing too, because wasn't this one of the first times or one of the only times it's happened where, because this whole mandate thing that they're claiming, because
yeah,
I think I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning that the final tallies came in and the popular votes, like he's under 50%, so he
yeah, that's
doesn't
great.
have the majority of the country, and then he only got like six more electoral votes than the time in 2016. So he basically, and it came down to like a matter of like 200,000 votes in like four different states. So it's not this huge mandate that they're making it out to be. And I guess they in four states where he won, the Republican senators lost.
Right,
So that's just another kind of like, okay, and that doesn't sound like a mandate to me for the Republican Party.
right, but they'll treat it as such, so it doesn't really matter.
I know it doesn't matter they say anything, but also like there might be senators that that kind of reflects that their constituency isn't just automatically going to vote for them, even if
Right.
it's such a weird mind frame to me that in those states they're just like, yeah, I don't want the Republican senator. Yeah, but this guy, like I'm pro-choice, but
Mm.
I'm still gonna like, so I'm not gonna vote for the Republican down the ballot, but
I,
president, I
I
think
mean,
the guy who literally got outlawed abortion, I think
right.
he should be president.
I think that the biggest mistake they say they might have made is when they were putting these abortion things on the ballot, because people would vote for the pro-choice thing and then they would still vote for Trump. And
Yeah.
so it gave them an out to still vote for Trump. Maybe it would have been better if the Democrats said, "Hey, no referendums. We're not doing referendums. You want to have abortion, you got to vote for a Democrat."
It's just
Because
funny how they,
by the way,
because
you
you
could put
wouldn't
these
even think.
referendums out there and they'll still pass a national abortion
But I
ban.
just think it's funny that I think they didn't think that because it was just like, well, I don't understand. Like the rational thinking would be like, of course you're not going to vote for the guy who got rid of abortion.
Yeah,
Like
who
if you're
bragged about it.
voting on the referendum. I mean, it's just like, what? Like that's how stupid people are. They're even stupid with their, they literally had to like make take thought to to make the stupid choice. You know what I mean? You think they would just be on one side of the issue all the way, but it's unbelievable. But I guess that's the whole thing I always say about democracy is, if you interview like 50 people, you're gonna be against having a democracy. But I guess I've just never seen it on this level. The utter stupidity, idiocracy of it all, which is, I think we've talked about before, just terrifying watching that kind of. I feel like we're in a. It's like more beyond idiocracy at this point. I feel like
Yeah,
Camacho, who was the president in Idiocracy, at least was kind of like likable in a
yeah.
way. Was
Well,
more likable
the funny thing is that they went to that
and
UFC.
black. He was a black guy.
Yeah, they went to that UFC fight this week. Trump and all his people, and Joe Rogan's commenting. He's like, "Look at all these cheers he's getting." I'm like, "Yeah, this is his fucking crowd." you know, this is
Yeah,
he didn't go to the Metropolitan Ballet or Opera. Like he went to this is his fucking fans.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
it's a Trump rally with fucking boxing gloves or whatever the fuck these guys do.
yeah. The biggest morons in the world. Just idiots screaming at people, at dudes wrestling in their underpants. Wow, look at these guys. Yeah, they're the dumbest people alive. So yeah, is there anything else you want to talk about that's going on besides the end of
I know.
your company would end?
Well, it's kind
First
of
of all, has it how long has it been since election day? What, like 10 days? Hasn't it
yeah.
felt like a year? He's not even president yet.
What I noticed also right after election day, where they already are running these really heartwarming Christmas ads on TV, and usually you just feel good. It's nice to see them, and you're like, ugh, like how could you be happy? This is going to be the best Christmas ever.
First of all,
Oh,
it is starting very fast. I thought Christmas, the whole thing was supposed to be that officially was after Thanksgiving, but now
no, no, it started.
like a week ago, I was like, oh, Christmas.
It's right
Okay.
after. It's usually right after Halloween. I feel like they might have waited a few days just because of the election, but it's usually right after Halloween. So,
It is funny when you get, older, how like life just literally is like you'll be like, oh, this is happening, and then it's like summer. Like you'll be like, oh, Thanksgiving, and then it's summer. And then you're
right.
like, oh, it's summer's ending, and then it's Christmas. Like that's literally life now, like summer and then Christmas.
The good thing is that Christmas will probably be 82 degrees in New York. So, I mean, it's so funny, these people who are saying climate change is a hoax. You notice we keep getting these alerts for fires. There's fires for some reason all over New York. There's a drought. We have no water.
It was
And it's
literally like I just got home. It was like 80 degrees today.
but
I
you
was
get
like, wow.
those fire warnings. We're getting this wildfires
No, I
everywhere.
haven't. No.
Oh no, yeah, that's a big thing, and it's right around the city, and you can smell the smoke sometimes. But you get these alerts on your phone. There's gonna be fire today. Like
That's
fire's
pretty
not.
vague. Where? Like what, just in general, there's gonna
There's
be
like
fire?
wildfires and stuff, and around the area. But it's funny that that's the new weather report. Fire.
Yeah. Well, it sounds about right about to what we're headed into.
And
I
a
think it's
drought.
gonna be like, yeah, the world's just on fire. The entire world is on fire. That's the other thing too. I just love. I feel like people forgot that the world was just on fire for 40 years when he was president.
Yeah,
And
but now it's literally on fire. That's what's. I think in the future the weather forecast is just going to be like fire or no fire. That's all it's going to be.
this weekend, fire, and then on Monday, 90 degrees. Have a good New Year's.
Look,
Yeah, it's crazy. The weather here is crazy. It's gotten like I mean,
we're
it's fine, but
we're
yeah.
getting rain in the next couple of days, and they say it may not even be enough. they gave us a drought warning, and they said that the next step is to have you conserve water, which is kind of what
Uh,
happens a lot in California. So
I'm sure
it,
everyone would be willing to do their part. Everyone seems really giving, and now in our society, could you imagine the whole? Remember, like back, you'd hear about like when wars were going on, like, oh, we all have to chip in. Now it's just like, fuck you,
but that's what I'm
I
saying.
want eggs. I want my eggs.
But I mean, like we notice that our temperatures seem like California now, so we're becoming California. There'll probably be earthquakes soon too. We're out of water. We're like going into Mad Max times, and and now we
Yeah,
have a president who's gonna get rid of all the green initiatives and drill for oil
get
that
rid
we
of
don't need because
education.
we're the biggest oil producer in the world, but we're gonna keep drilling. Uh,
And everyone's really stupid and no and misinformed. So he's first thing he's cutting is education. So that's a good
yeah,
start.
yeah,
As if people weren't stupid enough already. But again, everyone's like, I can't believe he's doing it. It's like, of course he needs stupid people around. Like that's what's empowered him is stupid people who don't know anything.
Mhm.
Um, and what else do they want to? Oh, Medicare, Social Security,
Medicaid.
Medicaid,
I mean,
pants. He's getting rid of those.
and but they want to give tax cuts to Elon Musk because he needs them. He really does.
If you
Oh, and
have
not only tax cuts,
diabetes,
we have to give him money to his businesses. We have to subsidize his businesses.
right. If you have diabetes, you're not allowed to get insulin anymore. If you have a pre-existing condition, they should be allowed to murder you. And everyone's like, yeah, eggs. I don't know. I didn't like her. She was black.
Yeah, migrants who I've never seen before in my entire life, ever.
And it's like all these women, like, these Mexicans are coming to rape me and my daughter. You know what? Just relax. No one wants to rape your daughter. All right. She's
Right.
not that hot. First of all, you're not that hot. All right. No one's like running in to like, rape you. You're not.
Yeah. And by the way, when someone rapes you now, you can't get an abortion. So have fun with that.
So enjoy your Mexican kids. Because no, but I'm sure Trump will just no more rape, right? No more rape in
Yeah.
the world. And a good start will be putting a rapist in charge of the justice
Every,
system, Justice Department.
yeah. And the president and every other thing. You remember that guy, Greg Abbott in Texas when they passed that
Yeah,
abortion bill with like no rape exception? And he goes, well, we were just going to stop rape. I'm like, that's your answer. Okay.
yeah. We're gonna stop rape. Yeah, that'll end. I don't know how you would stop that. We're gonna get rid of fraternities. No more frat parties. It is funny, almost like everyone in that, like Kavanaugh, they all raped. I feel like if you're like in that party, like you have like some rape in your
Right.
past.
And by the way, if you're just a young person who needs to be told that rape is bad, maybe if you see that everyone running the government is a rapist, it's probably
Right.
not the best influence on your behavior.
Oh, that's one thing I wanted to say about the Mike Tyson thing is I do think it's amazing too that I remember when it happened back then
The rape.
the
He
re the
also
re,
rapes.
the re the redrawing of his narrative
Mhm.
around him. Where remember the rape thing happened, he went to jail, and everyone was like, "Oh God, I hate him. He's such a jerk." And then
Mhm.
he got out, and everyone immediately was like, "I kind of like it." And I feel like no
Yeah.
one really
He
talks
he's
about the rape thing
he collects
anymore.
pigeons and he flies pigeons. But that's the thing. That's how bad this white nationalist type Jake Paul, not that but he is. He's like kind of like that. And you're rooting for the rapist to beat the shit out of him. That's where we're at
I
now.
I thought, when they introduced them, in the ring, and they're like, with 3 knockouts and 27 wins, I was like, I wonder they should include like rapes in there too and other crimes, like, and 3 rapes, 2 attempted knockout rapes.
I think Jake Paul has some rape thing too. I,
I
I
feel
don't
like all of them, dude. There's just something's going on,
know.
and I do think it's a culture, and especially there's something about it where in certain sects of the population where I just think it's like
Yeah, he was accused of
I
rape
almost think
too.
it's just become not really. Of course he has,
Yeah.
right? He just looks like he's raped people. I mean, you know what I mean? Like he just does. Like he looks like a guy who rapes people. I don't really. Um,
Like
I
if you
don't.
saw,
I feel like rape culture and all that stuff. I feel like there is becoming a thing, and I think it's partly because of the political landscape and Trump, the rise of Trump, and all the people around him. I do think like rape is becoming like diluted as a thing. Like I don't
Yeah.
think it's as like frowned, and I'm like not even kidding. I think it's sort of like, oh, whatever. Well, who knows?
Right.
It's iffy, like it's kind of a gray area sometimes.
Yeah,
So
but still 55% of or 48% of women will vote for Trump though. They'll vote for the rapists, you know.
I wonder if that is just kind of a Stockholm syndrome ish thing with a lot
Mhm.
of them. They had that ad like specifically targeting women. Remember that ad that was like, and I think it was. I don't think that was just like on a lark. That ad where they were like, "Hey, you don't have to tell your husband who literally is going to beat the shit out of you who you're voting for."
Yeah.
Like they
I
didn't just do that as like like there was some research that went into that. That's like a thing.
right,
So
right.
like the fact that you would have to like put out an ad, in 2024 that's like, you don't have to tell your husband.
I actually
You
read
can
some
do things on your
I
own,
read some stories that during election day, like the men were like just hovering over the woman and the election workers had to push them back. He's like, I'm allowed to look, because they still didn't believe their wife, who they were
Does
going to
that
vote
sound like
for.
a healthy relationship? I couldn't imagine being in a relationship and like care. I mean, if I was with a woman and she voted for Trump, that I'd be like, get the fuck away from.
Right.
This is not going to work because you're a lunatic. I don't. You're fucking a lunatic. Um, and it's not like, oh, I'm some like, you have to do what I say. It's more just like there's something wrong there that I'm not going to jive with someone with a woman that's voting that way. At this point, like, we have, opposites attract. She's into Nazis. She wants to take away my health care, and I like
But
action movies.
yeah, I like the guy who dresses up as a garbage man.
Yeah. All right. So, is
I guess
there
that's
anything
it.
else you want to say about it? I think we
Yeah,
covered everything.
we'll
Mike
have a good.
Tyson raped everyone.
And yeah, I'm sure you're gonna go see Wicked this Saturday or Friday, wherever it's on.
Yeah, I saw that on Broadway actually.
Yeah, I don't
I'm
need
gonna.
to
Are you gonna see it? My girlfriend really wants to see it.
really. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
more women want to see that than we're interested in voting this year.
I just saw a movie. Well, what did I just see? Oh, Honora. Have you heard of that?
Mm-mm.
It's like a kind of an Oscar front runner. It's
Oh
it's
yeah.
pretty good. It's like this director who's becoming kind of a big deal. He did that movie Red Rocket and the Florida Project. Maybe we talk about it next
Oh
next
yeah.
time.
Okay.
This is, I guess they're releasing all the
The Oscar bait.
Oscar caliber movies now, I
Yeah, which
guess.
means they'll be on Netflix in about a week and a half. I guess they'll make no money.
That's another thing. When I was watching that fight, this is just the last thing I'll say. Like, it is amazing. Someone was like made a comment. I think a woman, these women fought before Jake Paul
Mhm.
and Mike Tyson, and she was like, "Yeah, it's my dream come true. For so long, I'm on Netflix," and I was like, "That's another weird thing. Like, you remember Netflix, what, like 12, 14 years ago was just this like thing they would mail you DVDs. And
Yeah.
now that's just like dominating the cultural
Mhm.
landscape now. Like that's insane
Yeah. No,
how
it's a good
it did
company.
that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen anything like that. Remember, it was just this thing like, they mail you DVDs. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, they're so ahead of everything. I mean, I own their stock and I made some money over the years, although I'm mad at myself. A few years back, I sold a lot of it because that's when a lot of these other streaming services were coming in. I'm like, they're kind of fucked now, but they're
Yeah.
just tank. They just never stop.
Yeah, they really were ahead of the curve. It's like unbelievable, and it just keeps going. I don't know who they have some brilliant marketing people or something. These live things are just such insane
Mhm.
events.
I know.
They keep coming up with things where it's like, I'm sure the other people are like, why didn't we think of this?
Although they act like it's so special. It's like, what we're going to do is we're going to have this live event and we're going to show it to you on your screen. I'm like, isn't that
Yeah,
TV?
TV or like pay per view.
Yes.
Just the fact that it's going to be live.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god. But it's true. Yeah. So, all right. Okay. Well, that's it. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Uh,